Ghoul. You are so close to Bell being, well, at least pretty good for right now. But there's some major problems, so yeah, we'll get into it, but of course I'll give my props where it's at. Section 1. This game is so close to being great. Alright, I actually like this game, which feels weird because a lot of people don't like this game. It actually has the potential to be amazing from what I see, but some of the design choices are just so frustrating or weird that it almost feels like the devs are trying to push players away. Which wouldn't be too surprising these days with all the CC games running around, so let's break it down. As you see in the background, there is an actual tutorial, which is a godsend, and it actually explains things rather well, which is extremely rare for a Roblox game, even the good ones. But yeah, as you saw a little earlier, the dodging system is a little weird on that tutorial, whatever, it's just a weird thing, it's only for that, so don't worry about that. But, yeah, let's talk about the combat and game feel. So, Section 2, combat and game feel. When you're in a 1v1 against the real player, which you can't really tell right now, the combat is pretty good, the animations are top tier, the attacks feel good, and everything, well, just flows right. But then you fight NPCs, and it's like a roll of dice. Either they're brain dead or play like gods who delete you instantly. There's no balance, and it makes progression feel way more painful than it needs to be. Which brings us into Section 3, the early game experience, and more importantly, why is being a ghoul pure pain? The tutorial's solid, as I said, explains things. But, well, once you find the mission boards, which are like at Teku, or I don't actually know where the one CCG is. I'll talk about CCG later. They'll spawn up to like 3 NPCs sometimes to jump your ass when you have no moves. What are you supposed to do? Just accept death? And like, some of these NPCs are just, as I said, they're gods or brain dead. And why is there no passive health regen? You're stuck relying on coffee or knocking out someone to heal. Like, look how long it's taking out to knock out this one dude. Like, why did it take so long? This is an easy mission. So, yeah, this game is extremely hard solo, and it's even harder if you're a ghoul. It's kind of horrible. So, yeah, I got so sick of getting jumped by everybody as a ghoul that I just used the other slot and went CCG instead. And, well, within one mission, I got a weapon. Sure, it's only a crit move, but it's so much better than the base crit and so much better than the ghoul start, and I was actually getting somewhere. And then a Permadeath event started, so I was forced to log out. And that's when I was playing and was forced to stop playing and started editing this video. So yeah, early game is something, and even worse on Ghoul. It's just, yeah. So let's get to Section 4. Running simulator. More importantly, why can't I set my spawn? This game makes you run so much for no reason. The map is huge, and yet for some reason you cannot set your spawn at the 2 main factions for ghouls and CCG. So what's the point of having a faction base if you can't even spawn there? Instead, you have to waste time constantly running back, which kills any momentum you've had if you die. It's just annoying. Alright, and yeah, this game has permadeath, but it's not exactly in the way Deep Woken or, say, other permadeath games do it. It's an event that only happens like every once in a while, and later on you do need it to progress. But they're not exactly annoying, because the way you progress for a permanent event is you gotta just survive it. So you can just hide or do whatever you want, and as long as you survive until the timer runs out, you get the progress to level up. So it's not exactly too bad, but yeah, it's kind of just annoying. It makes you question why it's even here. It's kind of just tacked on, but I don't hate it. It's weird. Ooh, sorry. It's just weird. I don't really understand the thought process. You took it out and nothing really changes. It's just kind of like a wipe. The more I think of it, it's like a free way to wipe your character if you don't want it anymore. Speaking of events, there's Birdcage, Turf War, Control the Point. I can't remember the names, but you kind of get the gist. Relic Hunt. You do these events and you get 10 ghoul points per event if you win, and then you also get some other bonus stuff like XP, event XP, and all that stuff. So yeah, they're worth doing every time you see them, which is a good thing. And then you have the small events like the 2s, which you just stand in a point and cap it. There's nothing wrong with them. They all give their bonuses. They're all probably still worth doing if you run across them. My only problem isn't really the events themselves. It's how expensive specific one thing is in the ghoul shop. Everything else is really well priced. Like hairs were 5 points. Kagune rerolls are 20. And the problem with Kagune rerolls being 20 is you don't get that many. It takes, well, 2 regular big events that you win to roll 1, and then, you know, what was it, 10 small events to roll 1, which is a lot of time just for 1 tenth. But the problem is, they're really rare. It's 80% chance to get a common, 11% chance to get a rare, and a 3% chance to get a legendary, which is kind of ridiculous with how expensive they are. And now I get it. They need to make money somehow. This game's rather free-to-play friendly for the most part, unless you're playing like a GHOUL and you want a specific Kagune. But because a lot of the Kagunes, even the common ones, are pretty good. So it's just like really annoying to like, if you reduced it to like 5 GHOUL points, it really wouldn't be a problem because as far as I can tell, there is no way to put codes in this game. At least as far as I can tell. And that kind of still causes it to be rare because you still have to grind the GHOUL points to even roll. So I don't necessarily see a problem with it lowering the GHOUL points to 5 because, well, 80% common is, well, 80% common. That's still really, really common. And 3% legendary when most of the Kagunes are legendary. It's just like, well, yeah. Speaking of Kagunes, there's V2s, V3s, V4s. Not everyone has them. I got winged V2. And getting V2s on every Kagune is slightly different, but the general gist is you have to get a certain amount of RC cells, usually around 150k at minimum. Then you have to eat a certain thing, and then maybe eat another certain thing, and then you have to eat a player that's A plus or higher, or someone that has the amount of RC cells that you need, so another GHOUL. Extremely complicated, and you're not told any of this, and let alone do I know how to get the V2s for Quinkes, aka the CCG weapons, which there is V2s, which I didn't even know. I don't know how to get those. People seem to be gatekeeping most of that information for the most part. Give it some time. So if anything I say here might be wrong, but I mean, I have winged V2, so clearly I know at least a little bit. It's just weird. I don't exactly know why RC cells. I think they need to increase the amount of RC cells you get in total. Like, sometimes you get 300, sometimes you get 900 from an NPC. I think we need to increase it to like 2,000, 1,000 per NPC because you need a lot of RC cells. You may say, what do RC cells do besides just allow you to get V2s? They increase your hunger bar as a GHOUL. So what do you want to increase your hunger bar? Because that's GHOUL passive regen. When you have max hunger, you're able to use that hunger to heal mid-fight. You're not as tanky as CCG, but you could heal mid-fight. So if you get hit, you'll most likely be alright because you'll probably heal it off as long as you have some hunger bar. But if you get full combo and don't have time to heal, you're just dead. That's kind of like the upside of playing GHOUL and then also the downside. While CCG has more attack and more defense and more health, but they can't regen. Oh, sorry. So you kind of get the thing. I'm a little sick. So yeah, I think this game has solid potential. I hope it lasts for a good chunk. I hope it gets a good chunk of fixes. So I really like it. I really like this game. I know a lot of people don't. This is really weird for me to say. I'll probably give this game a 7. Maybe a low 6.5 if I want to really like nitpick, but like, I think it's good. I think it's a good game that set out to do what it did pretty well. PvP Tokyo GHOUL experience. I like it. I think you should try it out. Like and subscribe to Zets. Peace!
It's Chase Azul, mother trucker. It's Chase Azul, snitch.
Let's get some Robux tonight.